questions. This is your chance to ask the masterminds behind Howl-o-Scream exactly what you want to know. Again, Victor's going to be coming around. I'll give you all a second to think about what question you want to have. A few days ago, we asked on our Instagram if you had any questions. So I'm going to get through a few of these first while you're thinking, but we will come out to the audience and ask some of them as well. Chris Plasnick is calling me right now. You would think he would know. We are in this Q&A. Here we go. All right. First question, again, whoever wants to take this, you guys are more than welcome. Can we have fewer repeated houses year over year? Fewer repeated houses.
I'll take that one. So, yeah, I mean, I think probably all of us would love to have more house flips. Just getting one designed, one built, one installed on time, and the financial investment is pretty huge. We are very passionate about Howl-o-Scream. We're very passionate about Howl-o-Scream growing. So that is definitely top of mind if we can do more of that. So just know, I think we're all on the same page with that.
There we go. Side question for me, how much, and it can be approximate, how much goes financially does it cost to build a house? Millions? Billions?
It really depends on the house. It can be quite high.
Quite high, okay, we'll take
Brad has very expensive taste.
Brad has very expensive taste. All right, next question. When is 50-50 coming back?
That's a great question. So 50-50, that was so much fun. That was, so very interestingly enough, one of the questions we might get to later is just about, you know, the themes of the campaigns, because sometimes it's very focused on specific characters. So not that far in advance of Howl-o-Scream last year, we received from corporate marketing the 50-50 guide. You guys remember that from the commercial? Yeah. So we got that. It was actually DNA we had put out before the pandemic. So this character had lived in the past and just hadn't been used for anything. So they chose that was going to be the face of Howl-o-Scream, and then we very quickly reacted, well, okay, how can we bring this image you're going to see for the commercial into the park to make it all make sense? So very, very quickly, internally, we came up with the show 50-50. That's definitely connected to last year's campaign, so it's not, I don't expect that show to necessarily come back, but what may come back, you know, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary next year, so there might be a way to incorporate that 50-50 character as well as some of our other kind of characters into the event next year.
Very nice. Let's check in on Jesse real quick. Danny, how you doing? So good. Can we shine the light on Danny? What? Oh my gosh! Already. What is the stencils that you're using? Like, how do you decide what to use where? And
this is our zombie flesh stencil. It's just some funky little patterns of a bunch of holes that once you layer it over and over with different colors of that rock color, you start to get the texture of a zombie flesh.
Who designed that?
That would actually be Morgan Malice from M6FX, who we use also with makeup. We team up together.
Very nice. All right, we'll come back to you, Danny. Come back. Another question that we had pre-submitted to us. Why, this kind of goes maybe with the question that you just answered, Christine. Why in recent years have we shied away from an overall theme to Howl-o-Scream?
SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment is a very, very big company. And I know many of you know that Howl-o-Scream has now expanded beyond just Busch Gardens Tampa and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. A lot of our other parks now do Howl-o-Scream. So for a while we were the Howl-o-Scream people with our own separate commercial campaign. And I think what's changed probably just a little bit is, you know, now we're all part of Howl-o-Scream. So I think just from a marketing perspective, there's been a different approach to it, a little bit more of a global campaign instead of park specific. But that's not to say that park specific might not come back in the future.
Perfect. Let's turn to the audience for a few questions. I'm going to make Victor do his calisthenics up and down the steps. Does anyone have a question? We have one in the back over here, Victor, all the way stage right.
What is the thought process or kind of the conceptualization that goes into the evolution of the haunted houses? One of the great examples was the Forgotten. So this year it's about the Uprising theme. What goes into that?
I guess that's me.
That's you.
So we try to keep the houses fresh and interesting. Sometimes they hold their own, like a Stranglewood holds its own. Beautiful house, Forgotten also holds its own, but it also kind of lends itself to furthering the storyline. So the idea this year is the beginning of the big fight back from the humans versus the vampires. So you don't see them very far through the house. It's kind of a first half. So next year, the plan is for the big battle. So vampire, human, who's going to be the winner? That's where we're going with that storyline, just to keep that fresh and interesting and have people coming back to see it again. So yeah, we tried to do that just to keep things interesting on our end because we see it every year. So yeah, it's just making it better every year, making it fun.
I like it. I like it. I think we had another one up there. Hand raised right there, Victor.
What type of experience or education or background do you need to kind of put on an event or be involved in the operation?
I think we can probably all speak to our own individual backgrounds just really, really quickly. But I'll say, before we all do that, I'll say, much like any job you start, you learn a lot once you're there. I think every company is unique. So if this is something you're interested in, whether or not your background necessarily matches anything that we say, I would suggest just always going to buschgardens.com and seeing what we might have open and available and what's interesting to you. But I'll just start with me first. So my background, I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in dance, and just went to, basically my whole life I grew up in a very, very small town without a lot to do. That's the short story. So I got involved in the arts and it became a huge passion for me very young. And so that's basically, what I chose to do for my career. I ended up here at Busch Gardens 30 years ago. This year in May, my choices were to work here or go on a cruise ship. I chose here and it changed my whole life. So I just say, pursue what you're passionate about.
Lauren?
For myself, I have a background in performance and costume design, obviously. And with that goes also a tremendous amount of creativity beyond just what you see here. It's also, hatwear, makeup design with that, backpacks, all sorts of things. The biggest thing is to work collaboratively, meaning with a team of people, because it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And not be afraid to give ideas that other people are going to use and nurture those along to make the whole process one big great experience, because there's no I in chorus and there's no I in Howl-o-Scream. So it's all about the event. So it's sharing things with everyone in a collaborative effort.
Brad?
I have a degree in production design. So basically theater design, which kind of translates to what I do, but I think I have always had a passion for Halloween stuff, and it kind of grew into haunted houses. So it's just finding a route to use that, and then I have my degree as a background for just general design. But as far as getting into doing something like this, if you have the passion for it, just keep going, find a way in, and you can literally move up to where I am or where Christine is. You can get anywhere. Just be passionate about what it is, and just keep going for it. That's what I did. I'm here. So.
Chloe?
Yeah, so I have a background in the arts. I got into dance and performance when I was a toddler. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in dance as well. I joke around that I sort of fell into stage management. I dealt with some pretty serious injuries while in my college career, and I worked in the production department as much as I worked in the dance department at my school. So that is how I got into stage management and production management. I started working here, and all of that helped translate into managing Halloween, and I've been able to grow here and work with really fabulous people on this event and just kind of grow my experience in the specific haunt industry from my background in the arts.
Jesse, what's your background in?
I actually was a performer. I was a singer dancer here, and I also danced on cruise ships and went to USF as well.
So singer, performer, cruise shipper. I love
I
it.
was able to, I had a bunch of babies, and the upper staff was kind enough to give me a chance to learn more, and then I became the makeup designer.
Very cool. And shameless plug, I don't know if any of you watched The First Drop. The First Drop is our web series hosted by myself and Shania, our social media manager, but we actually talked with Brad this last month's episode, and he goes very deep into his background and how he got to the role that he's in today, and a lot more about what he does. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you watch The First Drop. Let's grab another one that was pre-submitted. We touched on this briefly, but I'm sure we can go into way more detail. Next year, the 25th anniversary of Howl-o-Scream, right? Guys, what can we expect? What secrets can you share? What can you tell us a year in advance?
This is very difficult. We have so many Halloween competitors now. And if you live in Tampa, you know that. I think Howl-o-Scream kind of used to be the big fish in a small pond. Now we're a huge pond with lots of fish everywhere. We've got Screamageddon. We always have all of our friends down Orlando way. So I think to a degree, I have to sort of keep some of those things inside today, unfortunately. But listen, if you're a Howl-o-Scream fan, you know that we have created so many wonderful characters over the past 25 years. Definitely our focus would be, how can we weave them in? What can we do next year so that that can come back to life? Because we truly are wanting to celebrate all of Howl-o-Scream.
Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, we're all huge fans of Howl-o-Scream, and we definitely want to do well by all the fans outside of us. So personally, I am looking back at everything we've ever done, trying to pull little bits of things like that, just so you guys get to see all that. If you don't know the history of Howl-o-Scream, next year will be a good year to kind of see all of those things that we've done and how far we've come from year one till now. So.
Sure, thank you. But I may say, myself, I've been involved in this event since before. Well, it wasn't an event, and being the person who's with the costumes, that we do have all those outfits and things, so things will be happening, it's really kind of exciting to see those things come back to life, too, so.
Chloe, anything from your side?
I mean, we're all very excited for the anniversary year next year. I know we have a lot of things in the works on our side right now. You'll certainly see some favorite things coming back to life next year, but when, where, and exactly how, you'll just have to wait to see.
All right, I feel like we got a little bit out of them. I'm sure more will be revealed in due time. Anyone else from the audience before I ask another one? We have one way up here. We have a little one right here.
So I think the question is related to performers and their placements. Do the performers get switched up in their placements every year, or do repeat performers kind of go back to where they are in the event?
Yeah, I can take that one. So each year is obviously a little bit different. So just because someone has worked with the event before does not mean that the role that they worked, it still exists going into the next year. And I know a lot of folks that come every year to perform with us. I know a lot of folks enjoy trying new things and keeping it fresh and fun for them as well. So it really depends on what venues are going to be part of the event that year and if someone's really interested in doing something new.
So, first and foremost, there's a big shout out to the technical crew that works behind the scenes and makes the event happen. So definitely a round of applause to them. Thank you. And the second half of the question is, are we going to see the resurrection of any fan favorites from years past, specifically in this instance?
Or 8 houses. 8 houses would also be awesome.
So you want 8 houses and Fiends?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up with Fiends. Fiends is an interesting story. It's a big history of mine. I've been involved, I think, in definitely at least like all of them, except
And it was
for
the
the
entire
very first
second
year.
page. It was the entire second page of questions.
Yes. No, it's okay. So in the last couple of years, we have gotten a little bit of mixed feedback on that show. Mixed feedback from past members, mixed feedback from guests that aren't past members. And so this year we definitely thought, okay, let's try something new. You may remember last year we said, come one last time to say goodbye to Bayou and Fiends. So we definitely tried to put it out there, please come enjoy Fiends one last time last year. Clearly a lot of people expected it to come back this year, so I don't know if we weren't taken seriously or people might not have gotten that message. So all in all, as you can tell, we didn't bring Fiends back this year. I'm not quite sure what the future holds for Fiends. I think it's just important that you know that we also like that show. And we were truly just listening to guest feedback when we chose what we did. So we will see what time holds. That show is iconic, just like things in our last 25 years. So we will see, maybe there's a possibility to incorporate it or incorporate some of the characters in some way next year. I don't know if the whole show will be back. We will see.
us an update here.
So Danny is now officially zombified. This is just to show you a light version of what we can do. We normally take about a half an hour to 45 minutes on the actors that we do, and it's a full body application depending on their costume that they receive from the costume shop. Danny here, I just did his face so you can kind of see some of the actors. It's face, neck, arms, legs, everything, hands, okay? So this is just, we used some liquid latex, ripped it open, hand painted it, added some blood, 2 different types of blood. We have splatter blood, and then we have squirt blood. We use the airbrush rig to give him some texture, and we also use some red eyeliner under his eyes to show that he's diseased.
Very impressive, very impressive. Like 15 minutes that took. That's, can I just yeah, okay.
That's on your phone.
It's very sticky, by the way. All right, I think another question here, pre-submitted. What is the typical lifespan of a house, and how difficult is it to bring the house back the next year? You know, does stuff deteriorate? Does you flip on the lights and they don't work? What happens?
So as far as bringing a house back, typically they're in good shape. Some guests are very hard on some of the houses, so there tends to be a lot of repair work. Props go missing, walls get punched in, things happen. So from year to year and night to night, there's always repairs. Usually in the down season, we don't touch the houses a lot, so they kind of sit dormant. But ramping up into the next year, we will go in and start repairing everything that we can find that's broken or missing. First part of the question?
What's the typical lifespan of a house?
Right now, since we have 5 houses, we're rotating 5. Some of them stay longer. It depends on how popular they are.
A lot of that depends on the feedback from guests. I mean, sometimes there's a house that's beloved and nobody really wants it to go. So everything plays into the factor of when we decide to change out a house or not.
It's when you get like a bayou that's been here forever, or a zombie mortuary that was here forever. So if it's a fan favorite, it's going to stick around.
How long will those chicken wings last in the residence? Specifically.
I
knew it. All right, let's go back to the audience. I think we have a question right here.
So the question is, have we ever considered doing a haunted train? If I'm not mistaken, that is
With maybe like a destination haunt that you can only get by train? I don't know.
Ooh.
I'll take that. So yes, we have thought about that. I think we even ran a train during Halloween in the past. Most of you know we are also a very large zoo, right? And the train goes out into animal exhibits, and not all of our animals go in at night. A lot of them actually have a choice on where they want to spend the night. And I think just for their safety, Halloween is a very fun and festive event. Potentially somebody could get carried away. And for animal safety and guest safety, I think that's why the train isn't really in rotation right now as a Halloween element. I hope that was helpful. We can all agree, I think that would be cool.
That'd be really cool. All right, we have one here in the middle, Victor. I'm gonna make you work for this one.
is what goes into storing and kind of maintaining the props. So costumes, masks, the houses, what kind of maintenance goes in your end?
Well, as Christine said, for storage of costuming, everything's cleaned first, very much so. It is then inventoried, folded up very neatly, and we pack in all these boxes in an area that looks very much like the ends of Raiders of the Lost Ark, when everything goes into these different hampers and things. And then the same thing with headpieces and masks and things as well. They're stored, inventoried, labeled, and then they're ready to get in about 9 months.
We have warehouse space. I'll just say that.
Yes,
a lot of warehouse devoted to Howl-o-Scream costumes.
I saw another hand. We got one there.
What about the decoration props?
Decoration props.
As far as houses go, we're very fortunate to have permanent buildings for all of them, so we can seal the doors, keep everything pretty safe for the year. Scare zone stuff currently is stored in a closed-in area. We don't really do much with that. We take it down, pat it as much as we can, and it just sits there until next year when we pull it out to start to change it or repaint it or fix it. But everything pretty much just gets packaged, closed off for the year until when we normally start.
Anywhere between March and July is when we
Super.
start pulling stuff out.
Yeah.
And some things don't last more than a year. It just depends on how they're built, where they're located. So every year there are some things that we discard. Every year there are things that we build brand new.
Which house was the most challenging to set up this year and why?
Circus, because it's the new
I
one.
knew you were going to say that.
Definitely the hardest this year because it's starting from scratch. So big empty building needs a whole new building, new house inside of it with lighting, audio, props, everything. So that's always the biggest challenge. If we do a new layover, it's challenging. It's definitely not as bad as doing a new house. So it has its own kind of set of things. Overall, the current houses, Stranglewood was probably the hardest one to put in. Because if you know, it's in the old Akbar building, so it has lots of different sized rooms that it's in. So fitting that around that whole ride, queue, and all that stuff was probably the most difficult. And it has a lot of tech in it. I don't know if you've seen the flight rig. We got that up and running for this year. Super cool. So there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And that brings its own set of horrible challenges.
I want to pause just right here, because I really want to publicly thank Brad for all of his work in Circus this year. If you went to the house before you came here, there were more lights on, so you probably noticed more detail than perhaps when you experienced it as a guest, if you've already experienced it as a guest at night. So a lot of those little unique things that make it feel like a real place and time in a circus, that's Brad's creativity and time and effort.